ever wanted was the truth. Meeting my biological mother gave me pieces of it, but also left holes I never expected. I'm still not sure which version of me is real. The envelope shook in my hands before I even opened it, like it knew the weight it carried could break me. It wasn't even official, just a letter from some distant state records office saying they had non-identifying information about my birth mother. But my heart hammered like I'd been sprinting for hours anyway. I'd been adopted when I was 2, and for as long as I could remember, I'd carried this gnawing curiosity, a quiet itch under my ribs that wouldn't go away. People always told me, "You have a family that loves you, isn't that enough?" And for a long time I told myself it was. But now, staring at that envelope, I realized enough had never meant everything. Growing up, I was the kid who couldn't stop asking questions. Why am I different? Where did I come from? My adoptive parents, amazing, loving people, did their best to answer with stories and photos and gentle reassurances, but nothing ever felt like the truth. Not the whole truth. It's weird because I love them, I do love them, and I never wanted them to feel replaced or betrayed. It's just, there's this other part of me I can't shake. This invisible thread pulling me towards someone I've never met. I spent weeks obsessively combing through records online, making calls I didn't even know I had the courage for. Half the time I'd hang up and cry because it all felt like shouting into the void. Some nights, I'd lie awake imagining what she looked like, whether she wanted me, whether she thought about me at all. And there were days I told myself to quit, that maybe some doors aren't meant to be opened, but something stubborn inside me wouldn't let go. The first breakthrough came in the smallest, dumbest way. I found a nurse's name on a birth certificate copy that had been sealed for decades. Just a name. But it was enough to send me spiraling into genealogical forums, adoption databases, even Facebook groups where people were trying to track their own parents down. And in that mess, there it was. A woman with the same birth year and city. I froze when I saw her photo. It wasn't like in the movies where you feel instant recognition. It was more like standing on the edge of a cliff and feeling your stomach drop, knowing that if you step forward you can't go back. I debated for hours about sending a message. What could I even say? "Hi, you might be my mom, maybe, I don't know, please respond?" I laughed at how ridiculous it sounded out loud. And yet, I wrote it anyway, deleted it, rewrote it, and deleted it again. Finally, at 2 a.m., fueled by a mix of insomnia and desperation, I sent the shortest, simplest version I could muster. "I'm looking for my biological mother. If this is you, please reach out." The waiting was unbearable. Every notification ping on my phone made my stomach lurch, and when it didn't come, it felt like the world itself was mocking me. Weeks passed. I tried to immerse myself in work, in friends, in anything to distract from the gnawing uncertainty. But even laughter felt hollow. I couldn't shake the fear that maybe she didn't want to be found. Or worse, that she did, but she couldn't. And then, one rainy afternoon, my phone buzzed. I swear I almost dropped it. It was a message from her. Not long, not eloquent, but enough. "I think you might be my child. Can we talk?" That sentence alone made me laugh, cry, and hyperventilate all at once. My hands were shaking as I typed back something equally awkward, equally human. "Yes." Like that. The first conversation wasn't magical, at least not the way I'd imagined in those late-night fantasies. It was messy and halting and full of pauses where neither of us knew what to say. She apologized for everything, for not being there, for leaving, for the mess life made of us. I don't even know if she expected forgiveness. I just wanted to know her, to hear her voice without the filter of doubt or shame. There was relief in that first acknowledgement, though. A bridge across the decades, fragile but real. But with that connection came a flood of unexpected emotions. Anger, confusion, grief, longing. All tangled together so tightly I couldn't separate them. I realized that finding her didn't erase the past. Didn't answer all my questions. If anything, it made them louder. Why did she leave? What was her life like? Did she ever think of me? Every new piece of information seemed to open more doors than it closed. And then there was me. I had to confront parts of myself I'd ignored. My identity, my sense of belonging, even my sense of self-worth. Everything felt suddenly negotiable. It's a strange thing to discover that someone you've never known could affect the way you see your own reflection. I'd always thought I was whole, but maybe I'd been missing pieces I didn't even know existed. Some nights, I lie awake imagining the moments we could have shared, the birthdays, the small gestures, the awkward conversations that will never happen. And yet, in that same breath, there's hope. There's possibility. There's a fragile, terrifying chance at understanding something I've carried my whole life. Talking to her more regularly hasn't gotten easier. It's just different. The initial shock has faded, replaced by this constant undercurrent of tension, like walking on ice that might crack under my weight. Some days, the conversation flows and I laugh at things we never could have shared before, and other days it's silent. Awkward silence that stretches too long, and I can't tell if it's because she's struggling or if I'm overthinking everything. I'm probably overthinking everything. I keep a little journal now, partly because I feel like I need to track my feelings, partly because I'm scared I'll forget them. Writing it down doesn't make it less confusing. I jot down her childhood, her regrets, the life she's built without me. And sometimes I realize I'm writing about myself too. About who I am now that I know a bit more about where I come from. It's messy, and I hate that I feel guilty for some of it. Guilty for wanting more. Guilty for being angry. Guilty for being scared. Meeting her in person is terrifying. I imagine it over and over in my head, but every version feels inadequate. The closest I've gotten is sitting in the same coffee shop, across from her, pretending I'm not shaking. We've talked about mundane things, weather, work, the terrible coffee, just to buy time before the weight of it all smashes down. Every word we exchange is loaded. I can see it in her eyes, the hesitation, the hope, the fear that she'll do something wrong and ruin whatever fragile connection we've built. And I feel the same way. There's a strange guilt that keeps creeping in. My adoptive parents, amazing as they are, they're part of the reason I feel like I can't fully breathe. I love them, I do. I couldn't exist without them. And yet, here I am, chasing after someone else, someone who gave me life but not home. Feels selfish but also necessary. And I don't think I can explain that without it sounding like I'm blaming anyone, when really I'm just trying to figure out how to live with all these intersecting loyalties. I've started digging into her history a bit more cautiously because the more I know, the more I feel like I might understand myself. She grew up in a small town, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, and her life was complicated in ways that I'm only beginning to understand. I found old newspaper clippings, some photos, even a few names of people she mentions. Each piece is like a breadcrumb, and I want to follow them, but I'm also afraid of what I'll find. Afraid that it'll confirm my worst fears about who I am, or who I might become. One night I couldn't sleep, so I dug through some of the letters and emails she'd sent. There's one where she writes about her regrets in almost unbearable detail. Things she did, things she didn't do, mistakes that haunt her. Reading it, I felt a surge of empathy, but also an almost physical pain. It's strange, feeling so close to someone who isn't technically mine yet feels like they always have been. And I realized, maybe this is what people mean when they say, blood doesn't define family. Because in some ways it does, but in other ways it's this messy, emotional gravity that can't be measured in biology alone. I also discovered that she's been searching for me, in her own way, all these years. Not aggressively, not obsessively, but quietly in the background, always hoping that someday we'd find each other. That fact hit me harder than anything. I'd imagined her never thinking about me, leaving me behind without a second thought. And here she is, living with the same longing, the same questions, the same fear of rejection. It's like we were orbiting the same planet, missing each other by mere inches until now. Still, there are moments when I panic. When I look at her and think, do I really belong here? Am I allowed to feel this connection? The questions are stupid, I know. The answers aren't simple. And yet, every time she smiles, every time she laughs nervously, I feel like I'm unraveling and rewinding at the same time. Like I'm being rewritten, and it's beautiful and terrifying all at once. I've also started noticing similarities between us that I didn't expect. Small things, a habit, a turn of phrase, the way we gesture when we talk, that make me pause mid-conversation. There's comfort in it, but also this eerie sense that maybe, just maybe, she really is a part of me in ways I can't fully grasp yet. And it makes me wonder, too, about all the parts of myself I've ignored or assumed came from somewhere else. I can't lie, though. The uncertainty is brutal. Every conversation leaves me both elated and exhausted, as if my emotions are being pulled in two opposite directions at once. I keep reminding myself that it's okay to feel everything at once. That it's human to be messy, contradictory, and confused. But some nights lying in bed, I still cry quietly because it's too much. Because I've spent so long imagining this moment, and now that it's here, it's more overwhelming than anything I ever could have prepared for. Yet beneath all of it there's hope. Hope that maybe we can stitch together the missing parts of our stories. Hope that the future holds some kind of clarity, or at least understanding. Hope that I'll figure out who I am without having to erase who I was before. It's terrifying, yes, but it's also the first time in my life I've felt like the pieces might actually fit together, even if only imperfectly. The first time we hugged, it felt like a collision. Soft, tentative, but full of impact. Her arms were warm, but I swear I felt the years of absence and longing press against my chest like gravity. I couldn't stop myself from trembling. She whispered something, but the words blurred into a jumble of sound and emotion. I think I said something dumb in response. Probably I'm here or I missed you, and it was enough. Somehow it had to be enough. After that, the visits became routine, though routine is such a strange word for something that still feels so fragile. We go out for coffee, wander through parks, share meals, and sometimes sit in silence. That silence is different now. It's not awkward but contemplative, as if both of us are trying to memorize every second, every gesture, every inflection. And I realize that memory is important. maybe more important than any words. But the deeper we go, the messier it gets. I meet people from her past, stories from her childhood, anecdotes that make me laugh and sometimes make me cringe. Some people knew she was pregnant, others didn't. There are whispered regrets and secrets that feel too big for either of us to carry. Sometimes I see flashes of resentment or sadness in her eyes, and I wonder if she's blaming herself, blaming me, or blaming the world for how things turned out. I want to comfort her, but I also want answers. And I don't always know which comes first. I've started asking questions I never thought I'd ask. Not, why did you give me up? I don't even say that out loud, but things like, what were you feeling when you looked at me in the hospital? What did you hope for me? Her answers are patchy, sometimes incoherent, sometimes full of heartbreak. And it hits me over and over that our reunion doesn't erase the past. It layers over it, complex and beautiful and unbearably human. There are days when I catch myself thinking, did I imagine her this way? Did I make up her smile in my mind? Because reality is never neat. She's flawed. I'm flawed. And yet, there's this undeniable pull, this sense that I've been wandering without a compass, and finally I found one. Or at least a piece of it. I think about my adoptive parents a lot too. Sometimes I worry that they'll feel displaced, or that they'll read my expressions and realize I've changed in ways they can't follow. But when I talk to them, they tell me it's okay, that it's okay to seek my roots, to ask questions, to find out who I am. They remind me that love isn't finite, that expanding it doesn't diminish what we already have. And that, somehow, is the hardest lesson to internalize. That I can belong in more than one place at once. It's still awkward when people ask about my family. I say, my mom. And sometimes I mean my adoptive mom, sometimes my biological mom, and sometimes both. I never know if I'm lying, if I'm clarifying, or if I'm just trying to make sense of myself. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the messy, contradictory way I feel is the truest reflection of this journey. Some nights, I think about the child I was, the one who stared at the ceiling for hours, imagining a mother I'd never meet. And I wonder if that kid would be proud of me now. Hope so. I hope she'd recognize that curiosity and courage aren't the same thing, but they can lead to something worth chasing. I hope she'd see that I'm still me, even as I uncover these other pieces of myself. And then there are moments when I laugh. Unexpected, loud, and full of relief. Because this journey, for all its pain and confusion, is also alive. It's raw and unpredictable and completely mine. And maybe that's what I've been missing all along. Not just the facts of my origin, not just the story of my birth, but the sense that I'm allowed to claim it, to explore it, and to live it without shame. I don't know where this will end. I don't know if I'll ever feel fully complete or if there's even such a thing. But I know that every step, every shaky phone call, every nervous message, every long-awaited hug matters. They are the threads weaving together a story that's messy, imperfect, and utterly human. And for the first time I feel like I'm not just searching for her anymore. I'm searching for me, and maybe finally I'm finding both of us.